Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Louise Houghton.
Hello and welcome to a packed show today, which starts off by looking into the future. Here's what's coming up. Futuristic wheels. British designer Paul Bacon presents his car of tomorrow. Filling alternative. Cookbook author Nadine Just offers courses in vegan barbecuing. And phenomenal art. Erwin Wurm of Austria unveils his latest work. Electronic beats and string instruments don't sound like they would complement each other that well. But German DJ Paul van Dyk has managed to work them in together with the hopes of attracting fans of electronic music to the opera and vice versa. The one-off set was staged at the Bavarian Opera House, and the gig added a truly modern twist to what is a very classical location.
It's Saturday night in Munich. The Bavarian State Opera is staging an open-air concert as part of the Opera for Everyone series. A big crowd gathered at the musicians' entrance, both opera fans and techno fans. The latter are here to see Paul van Dyk, the internationally acclaimed DJ. Tonight, he will be mixing club beats with the music of Giuseppe Verdi. The seats and loges are empty. The audience becomes the show, and the opera stage becomes the dance floor.
In a club context, it's really about moving and having fun. And I sample Verdi again and again to show how contemporary his work still is. But the show is very, very different, and it's a real challenge, too.
The 500 tickets available for the show were sold out shortly after the box office opened. The mood was relaxed and the people seemed to enjoy the concept.
The location is absolutely right on. To use this space, this old building, to put on a show like this, it adds something really special to the whole event.
We're really surprised and excited. A musical combination like this is probably going to be a one-time experience.
People will learn more about opera. They're drawn into Paul's set, which presents state opera artists. We're using every chance to open our doors and to appeal to as many people as possible.
This isn't Van Dyk's first classical experiment. In 2009, he worked with Estonian conductor Paavo Järvi in Frankfurt. During the show in Munich, electronic music is followed by classical interpretations of Verdi. Several Bavarian state opera singers are supporting Van Dyk's work.
It's brilliant. He's bringing young people into the opera house. That's usually hard to do. And DJs come along and say, this is a cool location. That brings young people out of the clubs and into the opera. And we get opera fans excited about techno beats.
But for Van Dyk, one aim is closer to his heart than all the others.
My goal is to get people dancing, of course. There are certainly a few surprising moments, especially when we segue from a typical 4/4 beat, that's where I'm at home, into Verdi's 3/4 time. Then someone might miss a beat, but that's the fun of it.
It's nothing new to combine techno with classical music. But to recreate a techno club on an opera stage certainly is.
Well, sometimes it pays to be creative, and that is exactly what Paul Bacon from Britain thought when he set about making a futuristic car. After all, if movies like James Bond and Back to the Future can have fancy cars, then why can't we? All it takes is a creative mind and 18 months of hard work. But now, Paul Bacon is turning heads with this around the city of Leicester and beyond.
This is what it might look like, the car of the future. Fast, flashy, and with some very eye-catching curves. Dubbed the Cosmo Tron, it's the work of Paul Bacon from Britain. He decided to come up with the car because conventional rides were too boring.
Growing up, I always imagined that, you know, this would be the kind of car that I'd be driving in like 2013, and this would be how the future would be. And you know, you get here and it's very disappointing because this isn't what cars are like, and probably for a good reason. But yeah, I thought I'm just gonna make that happen.
The Cosmo Tron takes its inspiration from old sci-fi movies. It's futuristic, the way the future was imagined back in the 1950s and 60s. The engine sticks up through the bonnet like a rocket, and the driver sits under a bubble made of plexiglass.
I think the view of the future from the viewpoint of the early 1960s and the 1950s, it's just a very optimistic view of what the future would be like, what with, you know, the moon landings and the space race. And I tried to build the car with that view of the future and without maybe our view of the future today.
The Cosmo Tron was put together in Paul Bacon's garden shed here in the city of Leicester. Normally, Bacon toils away here using spare parts to make souped-up bicycles, which he later rents or sells. Right now, he's working on a lowrider, a bike that's built close to the ground.
I was bought my first welder by my dad when I was 12. I learnt to weld then, and ever since then I've realised that, you know, a bicycle can easily be chopped round into something wild in about the space of a day. So unlike the car that takes 18 months, you can get that big sort of reaction on the street in about 12 hours, you know.
The space-age Cosmotron gets that big reaction when Bacon takes it out for a spin through downtown Leicester. Every time he parks, he's sure to draw a crowd.
It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's come straight out of 1970s Scooby-Doo, isn't it, Ruby? It's very much like the Scooby-Doo car. I've never seen anything like it. It must have taken 5,000 hours to make.
That'd be quite nice to have a spin in it, see what it was like, yeah.
I think that's a cool idea. Yeah, it's a different idea, and retro is cool, but with a modern twist. So yeah, I like that idea very much.
The technology in the Cosmotron also has a modern twist to it. The chassis of a BMW Z3 from 1998 forms the base. It took Bacon 18 months and plenty of fiberglass and recycled materials to transform it into his dream machine.
I wanted the whole BMW package, so the engine, the gearbox, the suspension, and I've not touched any of it. It's just pretty much how it came from the factory. But then I wanted the flamboyant design on top of that. And yeah, it just provided, you know, the perfect base.
The leftover parts were reused too, of course, for a custom-made bicycle.
There was bits left over from that. One of the bits being the space saver tyre. So I cut the centre out of it, mounted it on the back. You know, it says it's good for 50 kilometres an hour, so I'm presuming it's all going to be okay. It's got 2 foot brakes. It doesn't go that fast though. Highly impractical bike, but you know, it looks cool.
However, the Cosmotron is perfectly roadworthy and boasts a top speed of over 200 kilometres an hour. Now Paul Bacon just needs to find a buyer, someone who will appreciate the Cosmotron's unique appeal.
Well, it certainly looks like a car for the sunny weather. And that's what we've been experiencing here in Berlin this last month. Everyone has been getting out their barbecues and enjoying being able to eat outside. But for the 80,000 vegans around the country, barbecuing is a little more problematic. I mean, what do you put on the grill? Well, a new cookery course here in Berlin has been designed to offer a whole host of new ideas to those who follow the vegan diet.
These people are barbecuing, but they're not using any meat. All of the food is vegan. That means no animal products whatsoever. Vegan barbecue is the name of Nicole Just's cooking course. The Berlin resident shows her pupils how to make dips, salads, and sausages that are free of animal products. Nicole shops primarily at health food stores. That's also where she gets the ingredients that she uses in her course.
When you're shopping vegan, you have to check carefully to make sure that there aren't any animal products hidden in what you're buying. Gelatin, for example. It's in gummy bears and in a lot of beverages. Another big help is buying things that aren't packaged. I can assume that vegetables like this are vegan. Buy foods that have been processed as little as possible.
Vegan barbecue sausage is made of tofu, which is just coagulated soy milk, and gluten, which can be found in grains. Both have a relatively neutral taste. That's why the added spices like paprika, thyme, and oregano are so important. Nicole comes from a butcher's family in northern Germany, but she hasn't touched animal food products for 4 years now.
I became a vegan because at some point I discovered that foods that contain animal products are not produced in a way that I can accept or support. The food industry is very strongly geared toward profit. Animals are often crammed into crowded stalls or coops. In some cases, they suffer more than they live. And then they're taken out and slaughtered.
Once Nicole decided to become a vegan, she had to change her entire diet overnight. A graduate in German studies, she began to experiment with plant-based foods. She then published her recipes on a blog. A publisher took notice and came out with a cookbook that features 100 of Nicole's recipes. For about a year now, she's been giving courses at a Berlin cooking school.
Welcome to my course. It's great that so many women are here today.
Her pupils have different reasons for taking part.
I cook vegan at home and I want to find a vegan sausage that tastes really good.
I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian. I wanted to explore some alternative nutritional possibilities.
I actually eat meat, but I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't process milk proteins. I'm looking for alternatives.
The people in the course prepare salads, sauces, and barbecue tofu. They're particularly interested to see how the vegan sausages turn out. To make them, tofu is blended with gluten powder, oil, and spices. The result is a gooey mix that looks more like cookie batter than sausages. There's a trick to beating the mixture into shape.
Leave a bit of space on the sides. Then roll it up, give the ends a twist, and that's how it should look.
Once rolled, the sausages must be steamed for 40 minutes until the batter firms up. Then they can be placed on the barbecue. The high point of the evening is the dinner that follows.
As you can see, I've nearly cleaned my plate, so it must be good.
The dips and the sauces, just wonderful.
It's a bit too dry for me. I'd really prefer a real bratwurst.
The sausage tastes great. It's a fantastic alternative.
So it looks like a vegan barbecue party can provide a tasty alternative to grilling meat.
Austrian artist Erwin Wurm has spent more than 2 decades trying to expand the traditional boundaries you'd expect from sculptures and installations. His unique artistic interpretations have won him an international fan following, and now he's returned to his native Austria for a new project, which has just premiered in the city of Salzburg. And this exhibition truly has something to say.
Der Hoffnung auf den Aufstieg in den Abstieg. Ganz unten.
Human sculptures recite texts on stage. It is Erwin Wurm's latest venture into the art world.
Vorausgesetzt, das große Genie der Musik hätte länger gelebt.
It's a sculpture made of words, sentences revolving and twining around a specific theme. What it's really about is the essential themes of an artist's existence: success, lack of success, the flow of ideas.
Matthias Hartmann participated as director and dramatic advisor. The texts are all by Erwin Wurm, who wrote them on long plane journeys.
Wurm is totally theatrical. That's why he interests me. He connects highly amplified banalities with the most existential questions of art and being human. He's a truly radical artist.
Erwin Wurm's word sculpture opens the 30th birthday celebrations of the Ropatsch Gallery in Salzburg. Tadeusz Ropatsch is one of the world's most important gallerists. He also represents Georg Baselitz, Joseph Beuys, and Andy Warhol.
I think if, as a gallerist, you stay as close as possible to the artists, you can't really get off track. The danger is often that a gallerist turns too slavishly to the market.
Ropatsch's concept works. Erwin Wurm has become one of the most successful contemporary artists.
It's fun when you're part of it, out in the forefront. But ultimately, that's all it is. What's really difficult is to formulate an artistic work, to form it and then to take it further and maintain the fascination. That's the real challenge. And you do it with yourself at home in your studio. And that's where the unseen battles are fought, and they are gigantic.
At the end of the 1990s, in Wurm's one-minute sculptures, visitors themselves became works of art. The critics enjoy the humor with which he interprets everyday objects. Often he turned the home he grew up in into art, on the roof of a museum, or in distorted form on the Canal Grande in Venice.
You go inside and this indeterminate, claustrophobic feeling grows in you. You can say, that's like the society I grew up in. It's not fun, really. It's enough to make you weep. But it's another view of reality. I'm not a fan of demonstrating emotions because it makes people small and heavy. It presses down on us and diminishes us. I like works that are intellectually stimulating.
But performing a word sculpture in front of a critical audience is new for Erwin Wurm.
I was very nervous. I've never experienced anything like it before. Exhibitions are usually relaxed, and I know how they work.
The word sculpture confronts the audience, including many collectors and contemporary artists, with harsh criticism of the art business.
I didn't really feel like I was being reviled as a collector. I think it was really about how an artist feels about himself in today's art world.
I was pleasantly surprised. It showed a great wealth of imagination.
I don't trust the applause. I'm a mistrusting person.
Erwin Wurm uses the vernissage to explain his concept of art.
You also collect meaninglessness, but the free space that arises is magnificent and essential.
And then he muses about his next projects.
I always have tremendous struggles with myself. I think I have a certain quality, and of course I want to maintain it and to outdo it. And those are the struggles in my work. And sometimes I'm doing better, and sometimes not so well. And my goal is to keep on doing that.
Erwin Wurm, an artist who reinvents the world every single day.
And talking of reinventing the world, we're heading to an area of eastern Germany now that's slowly being transformed into the largest man-made water landscape in Europe. It's 150 kilometres south of Berlin, and it's known as the Lausitz Lakeland. By 2021, almost 24 former coal mines are expected to become lakes, and the ones already complete are full of visitors on these hot summer days.
A boat trip on the Zemtenberg Lake is a great way to start a tour of the Lausitz Lake region. The lake offers a range of recreational activities and many natural attractions. Around 40,000 people vacation here every year. The ultimate plan is to transform the entire former coal mining complex into a tourist region.
We're turning from miners into boat captains. By that I mean these mines are becoming the blue eyes of the Lausitz. If you fly over in a helicopter or plane, you see this wonderful blue landscape.
The Lausitz Lake region lies between the states of Brandenburg and Saxony. The lakes were formed by filling with water 9 open-cast mines that have been closed down. By 2021, there will be 23 lakes altogether. Anyone who wants to get a more elevated look across the landscape should head for the Rusty Nail. It's a 30-meter-high viewing tower that offers visitors a unique look over the water, including Seydlitz Lake. Just a stone's throw away, the Geiserwald Lake. Here you can indulge in more physical activities, or if you like, just relax. If you want more, you can rent a floating apartment. Depending on the season, accommodations like these range from between about 100 to almost 300 euros a night. And people who have their own boat can dock right in front of their own door.
People can relax here. The apartments are very well equipped. The unique thing is that this place where we are right now was once an open-pit mine. This is where the coal was.
Around 2 billion tons of lignite were mined in the Lausitz region starting in the middle of the 19th century onwards. And lignite is still mined here today, like in Welzow. One major energy supplier offers excursions into the open pit mine.
This tour offers you an authentic mining experience. You can see all the machinery, such as the rotary excavators and the conveyor bridge in the background. It's moving the sand from one side to the other, and there's real coal here. You can pick it up and feel it.
After the lignite has been mined, the shafts that remain are up to 100 meters deep. These are then flooded with water from the nearby rivers, but it takes up to 20 years to form a lake. If you want to get around the region a bit faster, you can explore on quads. In Klein-Pottwitz, you can take a quad tour for between 60 and 200 euros.
Absolutely super. Great. It's better than driving a car, easier than riding a bike, and you can't top that. That was a blast.
The tour includes a stop at a lake that hasn't been completed yet. The Pottwitz Lake is due to open in 2014. By then, the landscape will have had a chance to adapt. One big attraction is the new sluice gate on the Koschner Canal. The lock is the gateway between the different water levels of the Geiserwald and Zemtenberg lakes. Lockkeeper Dirk Hartmann makes sure that boats pass easily from one lake to the other.
The lock has been open since the 1st of June this year, and we've already had 2,000 boats pass through. That's a sign that the sluice gate is very popular.
By 2018, 10 lakes here in the Lausitz region will be connected by canals and locks. And back to the new harbor on Zemtenberg Lake as a beautiful summer's day draws to a close.
It's beautiful here, and the cycle routes mean you can get everywhere on a bike.
We want to see more and do more here.
The countryside here is wonderful, and it's quiet. You can really relax and chill out.
The Lausitz Lake region, where a former industrial center has become a recreation destination. Where machinery once roared, tourists can now enjoy peace and quiet.
And that tranquil note brings us to the end of the show for today. Thank you for joining us, everyone, and until next time, take care and goodbye.